Good morning and welcome to our daily devotions as we continue our devotions on the life lessons of Moses. When it comes to fear, fear can be a debilitating thing. It can cause you to freeze up at a critical moment when a decision has to be made. Fear can cause you to make poor choices as well. But in spite of all of that, fear is a natural part of life, and no matter how much we don't like it, it's always going to be there to one degree or another. So what do you fear? What are your phobias? As a kid, I was probably about 8 years old when I had, up to that point, what was probably one of the best days of my life. I'd been out exploring the yard, and my parents had a party inside, and so, of course, they thought it was better that I was outside while everybody else was playing inside. And I found a treasure, a baby garter snake. It was maybe, 5-6 inches long. I picked it up and it coiled around my fingers. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever held. And so I did what any 8-year-old boy would do. I ran inside, pride beaming from every pore, with a smile on my face to show my mom this great treasure. You should have heard the screams coming from the women who were there as this 8-year-old appears in their midst, holding up as high as he can this snake for them to see. Now, when it comes to the relationship between fear and faith, faith is not the absence of fear. One of my favorite moments from Moses' life happens, and it's recorded for us in Exodus chapter 4. And I'll read these verses, Exodus chapter 4, verses 1 through 5. So God was in the midst of this conversation with Moses at the burning bush. And then Moses, of course, was giving all of his reasons why God needed to pick a different guy or why people wouldn't listen to him. So in chapter 4, verse 1, then Moses answered, "But behold, they won't believe me or listen to my voice, for they'll say, 'The Lord did not appear to you.' The Lord said to him, 'What is it that in your hand?' Moses answered, 'A staff.' And he said, 'Throw it on the ground.' So Moses threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses ran from it. But the Lord said to Moses, 'Put out your hand and catch it by the tail.' So he put out his hand and caught it, and it became a staff in his hand, that they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." And just imagine this moment. With no warning, God doesn't warn Moses about what is going to happen to this staff when he tosses it on the ground. He said, "Hey, if you really think people aren't going to believe you when you say that you met with God in the wilderness, do this. Take your staff and toss it on the ground." And Moses takes his staff, he tosses it on the ground, and poof, it's a snake. And Moses runs away in fear. And then God does something even more mind-boggling. He says, "Now go and reach out and pick it up by the tail." You can just imagine Moses trying to edge around to the backside of the snake and just tentatively reaching out and grabbing this as it turns back into a staff. See, faith isn't the absence of fear. Faith is acting in spite of the fear that you may feel. How can you do that? Well, take Moses as an example. Moses' trust in God was greater than his fear of that snake. Now, thanks to Jesus, our trust in God is greater than the fear of that ancient serpent Satan and anything he can toss at us. See, if God raised Jesus Christ from the dead, there is nothing he can't do for you. Have a great day.